Welcome back to a new video. So this is continuation of the previous week, but this was from Thursday, and I don't really know why I decided to do this, but essentially I decided just to do progression. So you'll see here I start with muscle snatches, then I go to power snatches, snatching, overhead press, push press, clean, and jerk. I end up doing 13 different exercises, and honestly this session went pretty well. So with these muscle snatches I was able to get up to 90 kilograms, which is certainly a very heavy weight for me. I believe my best ever might be 95, but I mean it was as ugly as that 90 is there, if not even more ugly. So 90, if I do that, it's always a good day. And then power snatching, I did them without straps. I'm trying to do them, whenever I do them, just like regular power snatches without straps if I can. I have noticed that my hands are getting a little beat up from a session like this last couple days, so I do have to be mindful of that and use straps on other days when it makes sense. But if I'm just doing more of a classic lift like this, then it's better to do it without straps, so I'm not over pulling it with the power snatching. But the 100 was pretty easy. Tried this 105, and the only reason I have the weird loading there is that there was another person that was using the white kilo plates, so I just loaded it like that. But 105, it's nice to miss a power like that where I just do a full, so it was a positive in that sense. When I was doing these, I was feeling really good, so I was really trying to focus on flexing my lats back, and what that meant more so on one side than the other was on my left arm and left lat, trying to make sure that that was locked in, kind of like you're doing a deadlift, before I started to do my dynamic start. And what that caused to happen is that all these snatches looked really easy up until 120, but I was putting it back further behind my head. I was catching the bounce, like here it's like a pretty easy lift, and they were feeling really easy, and it's because I was more out, my shoulders are over the bar a little bit more, and I was pulling it with my lats back so it stayed closer to my body throughout the pull. Because one thing that I think that happened after I hurt my shoulder was that the mobility of my shoulder changed, and obviously it decreased, but it also changed the nature of my pull. So when you start to pull off the ground, you lock in your back or whatever. As the weights got heavier for me, that became something that pushed out in front. So it's like my shoulder, I never really noticed it other than when I missed out in front, but what I'm kind of realizing is that that's where the mobility difference was. So it's kind of a strength, kind of mobility, like I can get into that position, so it's not really a mobility now, but more it's almost like training my body to kind of hold that position on both sides. And it's been feeling tremendously good. That's why I wanted to try 120, was all the weights working up to that just felt so easy, like it was just going right into the correct spot. So I was really pleasantly surprised with that. Obviously, missing 120 twice, not great, but all the reps leading up to that 120 felt really easy, which is really encouraging, because I'm obviously not really fresh in this session like this. With overhead press, so I got to 95. Not really the cleanest rep. Obviously, I missed it the first time, just push it out in front. Best press ever is 102 still. I don't really necessarily care if my overhead press goes up, as long as I'm just doing it consistently and trying, in theory, to push it up, but it's not, a major focus. The push presses here, the 110 felt good, so I tried this 125 here. Wasn't really close, but the power clean was pretty easy. Yeah, it wasn't the worst attempt, but definitely didn't have 125 in that day. And so I dropped down actually to try to do just a full clean to make it a little bit easier and do a push press here, but I was too gassed from that 125 attempt to try to get it up to there. Super close, but just ran out of space to walk it forward. Then went on the clean jerks, and it was really kind of at this point in the session where I was like, all right, I'm a little bit tired now. And, it makes sense. I did a bunch of exercises and went pretty heavy on them. And I kind of knew like I wasn't going to go crazy with the clean jerks. So I just worked up to 140. The 140 wasn't super good, but that was kind of like I knew the fatigue was there for the classics. And and it's weird because like I was at school and I was like, you know what? This sounds like a fun session just to go through all of these exercises. And it's something that I've done not really ever to this extent, I don't think, but I've done it for, how I did overhead press, push press, clean jerk, like stuff like that for a specific exercise, not for everything. But certainly is a good way to get some volume in. I mean, if you calculate all the reps I did today, it certainly, adds up to quite a bit. And it's kind of fun because you're kind of just training constantly for, I mean, I think I was training for like 2 hours, and it wasn't, obviously that includes rest time, but I wasn't resting a ton of time and, just doing singles. Obviously probably not the most optimal thing to do every single session because you're going to be fatigued by the end. And so the quality or the weight that you're able to get to on the later exercises is just going to be less. But it does allow you to do a variety of things. So if you have that's a short attention span, it is good for that. Did pause front squats up to 140, then did a regular one at 140, and then missed this 170. Came back and made it. I think the wrist wraps helped, but I actually strained my index finger a little bit on the left side, as you can see when it dips down. Not the most optimal rep, but we're trying to get it up, trying to get it good. And then did a pause squat here with 140, 170, and then did a regular rep with 170, and then up to 200. And pleasantly surprised with like how I started to feel tired with the clean jerks, that the squats all felt pretty good and relatively easy. Even the 200, I thought this would feel really difficult, but I guess my legs are still decently strong. Not the easiest rep, but I mean, like considering all I've done prior to that. And then did a pull here, a snatch pull with 140, then 170, and then did clean pulls with 170, 200. And something that you probably might have noticed at the beginning of the snatches, I dropped all the way back down to 40 kilos, and for some of the other lifts, just to conserve some energy, I didn't drop all the way back down just so I wasn't lifting for 3 hours. But then here is 250, I believe, and then this last rep, I believe, is 290. Did it without a belt, of course, but honestly, I was surprised. I thought I would fail that rep with how much I had done prior to that, but certainly not a session I plan to do all the time, but it was kind of a fun one to do. And I mean, it's nice because you don't really have to think about what you're doing as far as like, what am I going to do next? It's like, if I did overhead press, of course, I'm going to do push press, of course, then I'm going to do jerks or clean jerks and stuff like that. But it's fun to do. Don't know if I necessarily recommend it, but it is a good way to get a lot of volume in and do a lot of training and a lot of variety. So I suppose it's pretty fun, but I didn't add this on to the end of the video because it would have made it just about this and the next workout about an hour in length, and that was already 44 minutes. So trying to just spread it out a little bit. But anywho, thought it was a unique enough workout too to have it in its own separate video. But anywho, if you made this far, I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Peace.